Hello, everyone, and welcome to Full Time, where we take you around the world of soccer locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally. Full Time is presented by the Game Sports Podcast and powered by 91 Network. You are listening to Season 4, Episode 20 of Full Time. I'm your host, Daniel Scarpino, and with me is our co host, Gitano Gallo. Before we begin today's show, Full Time is sponsored by Little Caesars Pizza. With their two locations in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, you can download and access the Pizza Portal app so you can enjoy a delicious hot and ready pizza from Little Caesars today. We remind our listeners that recordings of Full Time occur weekly or bi weekly, and uploads to all of our platforms for public viewing and listening occur weekly or bi weekly as well. Folks, it is a pleasure to have you here with us on Full Time, where we get to talk about the sport that connects all of us. G, happy evening to you, sir. How you doing?
Doing pretty well, Scarps. Long couple days setting up in the new office, but yeah, everything's been going pretty well. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. It's fantastic that it seems as though summer is officially here. Been able to get outside quite a bit, and yeah, no, life is definitely good. In today's show, we will preview the Europa League final, the FA Cup final. We'll also talk Europe's Big Five with a final day preview of the English Premier League, and we will have a look at local soccer. As always, if anyone would like to listen to our previous content, please check us out at Full Time on the Game Sports Podcast and 91 Network. And without further ado, Gaetano, and to everyone who has taken the time to tune in here today, let's kick off. We get today's show started with news in the world of football, and more specifically, right here in Canada. It has been officially announced that Jesse Marsh has been named the new manager of the Canadian men's national team. Gee, a huge announcement for Canadian soccer here for our men's team. If you could give us your thoughts, because this one kind of popped up out of nowhere, didn't it?
Yeah, there were kind of no rumors. So after Herdman left, it really went quiet. There were no kind of rumors of anyone kind of linked with the job. Um, I kind of assumed that anyone kind of post Herdman was going to be a step down. I think he's just a phenomenal manager. Um, but yeah, this kind of came out of nowhere. I feel like Jesse Marsh is kind of out of our league. I feel like we're reaching a little bit here, but yeah, super exciting signing. I think he was super impressive at his time as Leeds. Yeah, I think he is going to bring something similar to John Herdman in that very like culture based coach in terms of like the locker room and kind of the club. Well, it's gonna be the national team, I guess now. But his on field product was also like pretty good. So I think it's a really exciting appointment here.
Yeah, and I love the appointment for a multitude of reasons, but you mentioned a good point there. He is very much a culture based coach, similar to how John Herdman was. And I do like some of his philosophies. I remember his time at Leeds. He did help them avoid relegation on the final day a couple of years ago. And then obviously his time there in the return season, if you will, that following season didn't end as he would have hoped. But I really like the organization of his teams. I love the way that they defend. After Bielsa left Leeds, it definitely got more disciplined from a defensive point of view, and in possession as well. He has some very clever ideas and some very simple, pragmatic ideas. So I love the appointment, and like you said, it almost seems like he's a little bit out of our league, and I don't know if this is a step up from Herdman. I'm not going to go that far, but I feel like we definitely haven't taken a step back. Maybe it's just a step to the side, if you will.
Yeah. It's just a side shuffle. Not definitely. I don't definitely not a step down. Maybe a step up. That I think time will kind of tell with that, but like definitely not a downgrade.
Definitely, and excited to see what he can produce with Canada. And he's from the States, so the fact that he come to Canada really wanted the job, and very exciting times ahead for Canada as we definitely have our eyes set on the upcoming World Cup. Gee, in terms of speaking of where our eyes are set, we could say that it's all eyes on the Europa League final as we approach that cup final ever so soon. That final, of course, is going to be contested between Atalanta from Italy and Leverkusen from Germany. Gitano, these are two teams who have had, I would say, very different seasons. We have to say that, but of course, they still both deserve to be here. If you could explain what each of, for each of these teams, their journey to get to the final, what it might mean for both of them.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with Atalanta because we've talked so much about Bayer Leverkusen over the season. Haven't really touched on Atalanta until the last couple of weeks here. Struggled domestically, not haven't pushed too high up the table. Currently sitting in fifth, probably safe for their Champions League spot regardless. But he's kind of a middle of the pack in the European teams, nothing too crazy. But in Europe, in the Europa League, they've been kind of all guns blazing, smashed through Liverpool, which was super unexpected, especially doing it away at Anfield. That was maybe one of the most impressive European nights from this season across all three competitions in Europe. Again, smashing through Olympique Marseille in the semifinal. They've just been kind of all guns blazing. I think this is going to be huge for them. Especially their European spot or their Champions League spot, isn't 100% confirmed through Serie A. So this is a chance to kind of, claim their stake, say, hey, we're going to be, one of the top teams in Europe for next season. Huge for them. And then on the other side, Bayer Leverkusen, I know we're going to touch on their domestic form a little bit later, but have just been phenomenal in Europe. They've been phenomenal everywhere, really. Scoring goals for fun, not conceding goals for fun. Like, their defense has been fantastic. Jeremy Frimpong and Alex Grimaldo is probably, up there when you think of Dani Alves and Eric Alvidal, or like Marcelo and Danny Carvajal, in terms of wing back pairings that are just, so dynamic going forward, but so solid in defense. They've just been, unbelievable. And that's still feels like an understatement. And so for them, as part of their treble quest to claim the Europa League, this is history writing itself right here. So history is literally on the line for them.
Most definitely, and again, both teams certainly deserved their route and their rightful place in this final, albeit they've done it in some cases different ways. But I do agree that we are probably set for what's going to be a pretty entertaining final. And a little bit of statistical analysis on this cup final from sportingnews.com. I mean, we say that it's meant to be, a pretty decent final. The overwhelming odds on favorite to win this cup final is Bayer Leverkusen. They are tipped at having a 54% odds to win this contest. The odds for the contest to be tied at the end of 90 minutes, which would take things to extra time and possibly penalty kicks, sits at 27%. And the likelihood of Atalanta winning the contest, before the 90 minutes are up, of course, is at 19%. So the odd makers, according to sportingnews.com, again, suggest that there is a statistical likelihood as well that two or more goals will be scored in this contest, with the most popular scoreline being 2-1 in favor of Bayer Leverkusen. Again, games aren't won on a piece of paper on a computer, but just your thoughts on these statistics here.
I would give Atalanta more than a 19% chance of winning, for sure. Even in regular time as well, because obviously that included a draw going extra time in there. But I also don't hate Bayer Leverkusen being favorites. I definitely think Atalanta have way more of a chance than that. And in terms of the goals, I expect a lot more than the two for sure. Both these teams are pretty high octane, kind of offense first. So I would definitely expect more than those two goals.
Yeah, you almost wonder if, from an Atalanta perspective, if they think to themselves, if these are what the odds are going to be going into this final, it's okay. We'll play that underdog card, and we'll play that well. And sometimes that can bode well for a team. But Gitano, obviously, again, we have to get away from the statistics because that won't win a team a game. What can we expect here in this game from a tactical point of view, do you think?
I think for Bayer Leverkusen, they have to stick to what they've done all year. That high press, the high octane, everything is going forward. They very rarely are playing backwards. I think, at this point in the season, it's been proven to work so well for them. You can't deviate from the plan now. And for Atalanta, I think it's maybe a little tweak. They're still going to want to play on the front foot a little bit. I don't think they'll have as much of the ball as maybe they've been used to in this in the competition here. But if Bayer Leverkusen are going to be kind of forward thinking, Atalanta need to be thinking, being able to hit on the counter, that quick transition. So I think it's going to be both teams kind of going high octane, but kind of indifferent with different perspectives on it.
Yeah, and maybe Atalanta just has to pick their moments a little bit more. To your point about going on the counter, maybe they just drop in a little bit more, maybe sort of defend the width of the box, that type of thing, and then maybe wait for a Bayer Leverkusen error, and then they go the other way. And then in the case of Leverkusen, I think it is very much a case of, hey, we don't deviate from anything that we've been doing because it's been working incredibly well, clearly. So yeah, I'm definitely excited for this cup final, G. And it is down to us making a prediction here and now. So for you, who will be the winner of this year's Europa League final, sir?
I would be stupid to bet against Bayer Leverkusen at this point, so I'm going Bayer Leverkusen. I think they'll do it in regulation. I think it'll be 3-1.
3-1. Love the score line. I'm going to go Leverkusen as well. And Atalanta, I feel, is definitely going to score. And I feel like this is going to be a 2-1 result in favor of Bayer Leverkusen, but Atalanta won't make it easy. And a reminder, of course, to our listeners that this cup final will take place on Wednesday, May 22nd at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. In our next episode of Full Time, we will highlight the winner of this cup final for you all. Gitano, another cup final that many are looking forward to, and I have to look no further than the man that I'm looking at right here on my screen, which of course is you, my friend. That cup final, of course, is the FA Cup final, which will be played between Manchester and Manchester United. Gee, it's your Manchester City who are going for another trophy in this competition. How are you feeling?
It's funny. Not that I'm not nervous for it, but I've been so focused on the end of the Premier League season that kind of I've been putting off the nerves. So I'm, tomorrow afternoon, probably around 2:00, all the FA Cup final nerves are going to set in. But I will tell you that they are going to be awful. It's not just an FA Cup final. It's against United for the second year in a row. Like last year was the first time in the history of the competition it was a Manchester Derby final, and you're going to get second year in a row. I really think that this is as massive as last year's was for the treble and what it meant. I think this one's just got that little bit more. If you can, like I said a couple weeks ago, like if you can dunk a second FA Cup final in a row on your biggest local rival, like there's nothing better than it. So I'm extremely nervous. I will be extremely nervous for it in a couple of hours.
Yeah, and you know what? I have to say, the implications on this cup final are different than last year, but there's still implications nonetheless for both teams, might I add. So again, huge cup final, which is going to be coming to our TV screens here very, very soon. And you just mentioned it there, Gaetano, but for those that don't remember, of course, this is a rematch of last year's FA Cup final where Manchester City did beat Manchester United, and that was by a score of 2-1. Do you think that we can maybe expect some of the same drama that we had in that game, or is that maybe too far out of reach to say, G?
For me, watching the game, I would like as little drama as possible. I'd like another goal inside 12 seconds and, just kind of settle the nerves. Realistically, that's not going to happen. I would love it to. It's not going to. I think there's going to be a ton of drama. I think it's going to be, and again, not that the goal in 12 seconds kind of killed the drama last year, but it very much set the momentum City's way very early. I expect it to be a lot more like close in those early moments. I don't think United are going to give us that sniff nice and early. I expect that kind of to be a drawn out, kind of painful, almost torture of those first kind of 15, 20 minutes until someone makes that that mistake, and the game will kind of open up from there. But yeah, I expect tons of drama. I don't expect it to be a blowout by any means. I think as much as I make fun of United for being awful, I think they'll turn up because, of course, they'll turn up for the one game of year that's important. I expect it to be a really, really close game.
Yeah, I do too. And for all intents and purposes, and we're going to get into some odds upcoming here. Manchester United need this badly for so many reasons. I would argue as well that Manchester City need it as well, because if you're in a cup final, you're going to try and win it. But with the season that Manchester United have had, with the discontent of their fan base, amongst so many other things, I don't think that they're going to roll over in any capacity. Similar to last week in the Premier League, the way that they played against Arsenal. In some patches of that game, Manchester United looked better than Arsenal, especially in possession. So I think that they will also turn up for this cup final, to your point. And some of these statistical data for us to ponder over here, Gitano. According to bettingodds.com, Manchester City have an implied probability of winning this game at a ridiculously high 75%. The odds of this remaining tied at the end of 90 minutes and needing extra time or penalties is at 18%, which leaves only 7% potential outcome of Manchester United winning this game, which again is insanely low. Gee, the odds seem to be ever stacked in your favor, like ridiculously high. What can you say for that?
I mean, I think it's to be expected. The form that City are in, the season we've had, it makes sense. Again, similar with the Atalanta thing, like to say United have a 7% chance of winning that game is just like, it's ridiculous. They're going to turn up because we know they are. I don't hate the extra time and penalties. I think that's very much on the table. Like I said, it's going to be a tight game, but yeah, 75% chances. As much as I like that stat, I feel like it's a little high.
And you know what? With these sorts of things, I think it's important that we all kind of recognize this. They're going on, I guess it would be quantitative data. They're going by numbers in terms of how they measure these sorts of things in terms of statistical odds and potential outcomes. But again, as we know in a game of football, things come into play, and if a team turns up, we've seen it before where a team that's not supposed to win ends up winning, or a team that's not supposed to win, maybe they still lose, but they're right there at the end and they potentially could win. So again, those types of things aren't taken into account, the human factor, if you will. But from a tactical analysis point of view here, G, I'm really interested, to know how you see both teams setting up for this one and what we can expect possibly from both managers.
I think, and it's going to be like weird to say, I think Ten Hag has to go for it. He has to go, pedal to the metal. With City, you can't like play like patient, pragmatic. Like it's not going to work. City are better than them at that. I think the only real chance they have is pushing City, countering as fast as they can, like trying to exploit any of that space in behind when a player like Kyle Walker pushes up. Like just have to, exploit that space, push City, make us, defend 10 yards deeper, 15 yards deeper, be a threat on the counter. Because if United, trying to sit back, similar to like the City Arsenal game where Arsenal just kind of parked their bus. Like United can try that. They're nowhere near as good as Arsenal. They're not going to pull that off as well. They have to threaten City with something. If they don't try it, if they just leave someone like Rashford or Nacho up top and just like send them hopeful long balls, like City are going to eat that up all day. They have to push for it. And for City, it's all about control. Similar to almost last season, like the treble-winning season, the away legs in Europe, they were all 1-1 draws, but it was all about control. City had, probably an average of 80% possession across all of their away legs. I think that's what Pep's going to try and go for. Just, United can't hurt us if they don't have the ball. And when we have the ball, we have the quality to, get that one goal that we need. I think they'll probably get maybe 2 or 3, but I think it's going to be a very patient, very slow, very methodical City. And United are going to have to just try and push as much as they can when they get that sniff.
Yeah, I think you've summarized that one beautifully there. And to your point about United having to kind of go pedal to the metal, I actually agree with you there. That being said, based on how United have kind of gone about their business this season, I think that they probably will do that, but it wouldn't shock me if they didn't. Like if they came out and just set up in a deep low block, I wouldn't be shocked, even though I think that would be to their detriment. They would have to rely, if they do that, on a footballing miracle. I don't know if you remember a couple of seasons ago. I want to say it was when Patrick Vieira had Crystal Palace. I don't know I think it was a 0-0 City towards the end of the season. City ended up winning the league.
I hated Vieira's Crystal Palace sides.
But what I'm trying to get at with that point is it was towards the end of the season. City and Liverpool were both going for the title. It was the only points that City had dropped maybe in, I don't know, the last 12 games or something like that. But with the amount of chances that City had, they should have put the game away. But Crystal Palace basically got a footballing miracle because they came out the other side and everyone said that it was a work of genius, really, because they set up in the deep low block and Manchester City didn't score. So it can happen if Ten Hag goes that route, but I don't think that for what the United fans need to see, for if he wants to keep his job, to show that this is how we're going to be playing moving forward. I don't think that he could set up like that, and their best chance of competing in the game is to try and go at Manchester City even just a little bit. So we'll put this one out here for discussion, G. Regardless of the result of this game, whether Manchester City win or whether Manchester United win, does Erik ten Hag remain the manager of Manchester United next season?
The only way I see him keeping his job for next season is if United win like 10-0. If they like wipe the floor with City, like just dominate, destroy, maybe the United board's like, oh, okay, like we'll give it another year. Any result bar that, even if they squeak a 1-0 in the 95th minute, like I still don't think that's enough for him to keep his job. I think he should keep his job, and this isn't like a joke of like, haha, like keep a bad manager because it makes him worse. Like I think he's a good manager. I just think the constant turnover they've had at United has just been they have no structure. There's no kind of foundation for them to build on. Every time a manager tries, they get 2.5 years and then they're gone. So I think they should keep him around to at least start to build some structure. But yeah, I don't think so. I think he's a dead man walking.
So I have to say this. I'm a little bit different to you. The only way I see him leaving, and I only changed, and I'm going to say why I changed my opinion just slightly before we recorded. I think the only way that he gets the sack is if they get killed in this final. So if they get played off the park, he's gone. I think if they compete, keep it close, I think that he'll be there next season. Obviously, if they win, I think that he will be there. It was just announced before we started recording that at the end of the season, so after tomorrow, De Zerbi is leaving Brighton.
Ooh.
So I thought to myself, okay, maybe they don't need to just get killed in the final. Like if United lose, maybe of course if they get killed, he'll be out the door. But maybe if it's not a great performance, and if it's not all the way there, or maybe the tactics aren't particularly clear, I think then he could also be out the door. And I think that the number one replacement would be De Zerbi. What do you think about that?
I mean, I don't know if De Zerbi is ready for United, and I don't know if United is ready for De Zerbi. I think that squad is just fractured, I think would be the best way to kind of put it. There's no real foundation in it. There's no spine in that team. And not like playing wise. I mean, like actual, like you don't have like a good goalkeeper, a couple center backs, midfielder. Like there's nothing to kind of build from. We haven't really seen De Zerbi rebuild the team. We've seen him retool and definitely like make Brighton better. But like a lot of the hard work at Brighton was Graham Potter's work. De Zerbi kind of took it and improved on it. I don't know if there's anything for him to kind of build on at United. And that's not to say that he can't do it. We just kind of haven't seen him do it at this level. I would almost probably see like maybe someone coming in for, and obviously not Jose, but like a Jose kind of stint of like 2 years, build a foundation, and then you get a De Zerbi kind of to kind of take that group to the next level. I'm not sure if De Zerbi is the guy to kind of rebuild them. Yeah, I think he's a great manager though.
Yeah,
but
yeah, it's a fair sort of assessment, I would say. And again, who knows? But what I would say is just kind of comparing the time that Manchester United are in right now, it does remind me a little bit, not fully obviously, but a little bit of how Arsenal were for a number of years. And then when Arteta came in, it was made very clear to all of us as fans that the focus is going to be outgoings for a minimum of 2 years. And how frustrating that was, because we didn't bring anybody in, and we just had to deal with guys like Hector Bellerin, who was great for the club and did a lot of nice things, but wasn't an Arsenal player like Rob Holding or Mustafi type of guy. Like,
jeez, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, David Luiz.
But David Luiz too. But at the same time, I think like United kind of are in that position that they got to get people out the door, maybe give a bunch of young guys a chance, and then, like you said, in a couple of years, really start to maybe think about bringing somebody like De Zerbi in once more pieces are in place to really take the lead on this. That being said, again, we'll know, I would say, after this cup final if Erik ten Hag is going to be staying at United or not. But it is prediction time, G. And I already know the answer that you have in mind. I know my answer. Obviously, I'm pretty sure, again, the odds said 75% for Manchester City. I'm pretty sure more than 75% of people will think this. But let's get this out and make it public. Who's winning the FA Cup final, my friend?
City 2-0, Holland both goals.
Very good. I'm going City 3-1. I think that to your point about things being a little bit nervy, I think that Manchester United is either going to claw one back to make the game level or to pull the game within one. It'll be a little bit nervy, and then City will cap it off with another goal towards the end of the game to make it 3-1. So you've heard the predictions here, folks, and no one is shocked. We both feel that Manchester City will win this FA Cup final, but we won't find that out until Saturday, May 25th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, which is when the FA Cup final will take place on all of our local television sports networks. So everyone will be able to catch the game, and you don't have to pay for it, which is ever so good. This is Daniel Scarpino and Gitano Gallo, and you are listening to Full Time on the Game Sports Podcast and 91 Network. A reminder that Full Time is sponsored by Little Caesars Pizza. You can download and access the Pizza Portal app for any of the 2 locations in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Have a delicious hot and ready pizza from Little Caesars today. Let's now dive into Europe's Big Five. Gitano, La Liga gets ready to close things out with its final 2 match weeks. The top 4 is already set, with Madrid having won the league, Barcelona in second, Girona in third, and Atletico Madrid in fourth. It's the rest of the European places, which are up to Athletic Club, Real Sociedad, and Real Betis. But only 2 of those teams are going to get spots in either the Europa League or the Conference League. For you, Gitano, who is going to do it?
So looking at the table, I think Athletic Club kind of has the best chance. They're in the best run of form of those 3 teams. Also, obviously, the points, couple points differential is huge for them. But I've just got this sneaking suspicion about Real Betis. They've had a kind of pretty good little run here. No losses in their last 5, which is obviously a fantastic time to kind of have that kind of run. I just got a sneaking suspicion that they're going to sneak that last European place.
Yeah, and you know what? With 2 match weeks left, I think that anything certainly can happen. I'm going to go Athletic Club and Real Sociedad, but if Real Betis do happen to get into that final spot, I wouldn't be shocked. The Bundesliga has officially wrapped up this morning, and it is now official. Bayer Leverkusen have completed an invincible season, going undefeated in all 34 of their games. This is the very first time that this has been achieved in Bundesliga history. The top 7 who will all qualify for European football, next season are Leverkusen, Stuttgart, Bayern Munich, RB Leipzig, Dortmund, Frankfurt, and Hoffenheim. It's all about Leverkusen, of course. This was an unprecedented and almost an unthinkable season in so many ways. That being said, they have absolutely done it. They're continuing to do it, as we just spoke earlier. They have another final to look forward to. Let's talk about them, my friend. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, what more is there to say about them at this point in the season? Obviously the first couple months of the season were impressive. But there's always kind of like that expectation of they're either going to tail off or Bayern Munich are going to, take over. But I don't know what Xabi Alonso says in that dressing room. I don't know what he does in the training ground, but they have played, some of the best football I've ever watched in my life. Just phenomenal. Just so well structured, but also so like they're free roaming the players. Like so it's perfect. It's as close to perfect football as you could probably get. The attack is great, and not just through one guy. It's a team effort. Florian Wirtz probably the jewel in the crown there. Just so good. But the defense also just solid. Like everything, just like I said, that's as close to perfect football as you could get, and rewarded with an invincible Bundesliga season. It's just unreal.
It really is unreal, and that's why I kind of say in some ways it really is unthinkable. But they've done what for most people is unthinkable, and they fully deserve it based on the football that they play, their attitude, their demeanor, and their togetherness in that squad is extraordinary. Obviously, you'd have to pay for full access to see more detailed training that they have. But just with the little clips that you do see online, it doesn't look like they do anything particularly special. But I think that the attention to focus and the attention to detail that they must have in that team, and who knows what he says behind closed doors, because I mean, that manager, he's absolutely sensational. And again, they have another cup final for them to look forward to amongst next season with many other things. But how about Hoffenheim today as well, getting their place in Europe by beating Bayern Munich by a score of 4-2. Unbelievable.
Yeah, definitely a result you wouldn't have expected. Hoffenheim, like, not a great season for them, but really turned it around here at the end. Like I said about Real Betis earlier, like, if you're gonna like find a time to get a run of form, like, this is the time to do it. And a great run from them to secure European football. And yeah, I think beating Bayern Munich on the last day of the season to secure it's a hell of a way to cap it off.
No doubt. And for all intents and purposes, Munich didn't have the best of seasons. And the Bundesliga this year certainly entertained us in the parity now that's in the league and the competitiveness over the past 2 years. We have to say we hope that continues to trend in that direction, because that league is certainly getting better and better. As of Sunday, May 19th, League 1 will be all done and dusted. So as of tomorrow, PSG, of course, are the champions. Monaco will finish second. Brest and Lille will battle for the final Champions League spot in third place, while the other will get Europa League football, excuse me. Nice will play in the Conference League next year. Out of Lille and Brest, who is going to get that final Champions League position, and then who's, of course, going to get the Europa League spot?
It's tough. So Lille have a tough game. They play Nice, who are just in fifth place, who've actually been pretty good this season. Brest have it slightly easier with a trip to Toulouse. I think that OG Nice, I think, are going to put up a bit of a better fight. I think Lille are going to struggle, so I think Brest are going to get the final Champions League spot here.
I do as well. I'm going to go Brest to get third spot and Lille to get fourth, and we'll know again tomorrow afternoon what happens there. Italy Serie A has a couple of game weeks left as well, just La Liga, plus one final fixture to be made up between Atalanta and Fiorentina, as both of those teams, of course, are competing in European Cup finals in the coming weeks. Apart from those top two of Inter and Milan, nothing is really 100% set in stone, is it?
No, there's quite the spread of points here, and some of them quite close. You actually have two teams. So it's Bologna and Juve are both on 67 points. Atalanta is behind them just by a point on 66. Roma has 60 and Lazio has 59. So it's not a lot of breathing room in that top seven.
Yeah, the competitiveness similar to the Bundesliga, again, is something that we love to see in Serie A. Again, it's not just Juventus running away with it all the time. It's getting better and better each season. So it makes it better from neutral fans' perspective, without question. It is all down to the final match day of the English Premier League, where it is the only league in Europe's Big Five where the winner of the league has yet to be determined. It will be determined, however, on the final match day of the Premier League season, which goes tomorrow, Sunday, May 19th, 2024. Gitano, could this have been scripted any better?
No, not really. I mean, for us personally, definitely not. A City Arsenal title race going to the final day. Not ideal for the friendship, but we'll get through it. But yeah, and even just the fact that I said to you earlier this week, I think when the clock hits the 90th minute in both of those games, I still don't think we're going to know who's the champion. I think there are going to be twists and turns, and I think even Pep said it in his presser yesterday. Like, it's not going to be 3-0 after 10 minutes against West Ham. It's going to be like Aston Villa. It's going to be tight. It's going to be nervy, which doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence. But yeah, I think this is going to be, to say it's going to be like a nail biter and like a close one is like the understatement of the year.
Yeah, and again, this is what really, in my opinion, football is all about. When you've got two top quality teams competing for the highest honor, and basically everyone in the footballing world is ever so tuned into it. I was watching AFTV today, and the likes of Everton fans are even saying too that despite the fact that their team is safe and they're happy with that and all these sorts of things, that they're just really looking forward to the atmosphere. And everyone I think who is immersed in football can really tune in tomorrow and understand that, hey, there's something special here. And it's been interesting all week because there's been no, obviously, games apart from a couple of makeup games. Basically, all teams' managers have been involved in so many press conferences for very different reasons. But it almost, to compare it to, I guess, a North American sport, it feels like the lead up to the Super Bowl. And everyone who watches the Super Bowl knows how intense that could be. I would say that this is like amplified times 10, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely. And it's so funny because, you compare it to the Super Bowl, it's like, but it's not even like City and Arsenal playing against each other. It's two separate games with this like massive hype combined. Yeah, I think the Super Bowl comparison is like pretty accurate in terms of hype.
Yeah, the lead up has certainly built up a lot of excitement and a lot of anticipation, and it all goes down tomorrow. The stage is set and the stage is clear, Gitano. The Premier League trophy will either go to Manchester City or Arsenal, and of course, nobody else. Manchester City is in first place with 88 points, whereas Arsenal is in second with 86 points. Liverpool will finish third, with Aston Villa finishing in fourth. Fifth and sixth position are still up for contention between Tottenham, Chelsea, Newcastle, and United, who will all fight for the final European places. Gitano, before we get to the title specifics here, who do you think is going to get the fifth and the sixth spot?
Fifth and sixth, I don't see much changing there. I think Tottenham have just been better than Chelsea this year. Not great, but better. I think they'll hold on to the fifth spot for sure.
Yeah, and I also think that, and they're going up against Sheffield United, and with the greatest deal of respect to Sheffield United, they're not going to beat Tottenham, and they are going to concede goals. So Tottenham, I think, is going to end up fifth. And to be honest with you, I also think Chelsea is going to end up sixth. And what a big turnaround you have to say for Chelsea for the way that their season was going in the last, 12 or so games. They've really turned it up with a couple of bad results mixed in there, but they'll have, I think, some level of European football next year. Pochettino will stay, and I have a feeling for Chelsea next year, as much as I hate to say that. So I'm going to Tottenham and Chelsea to claim those last European places. Now let's look at the title picture here, G. Here is how the scenarios get broken down for whatever might happen tomorrow. If Manchester City win their game against West Ham, won't matter what happens in the Arsenal game when Arsenal plays against Everton. City will be champions if they win. If Manchester City draw their game and Arsenal win their game, it will come down to goal difference, as both teams would be level on points. Right now, Arsenal have a superior goal difference of just one single solitary goal, and therefore a City draw and Arsenal win would make Arsenal the champions via goal difference. If Manchester City draw their game and Arsenal draws their game, City are champions. If Manchester City loses and Arsenal draw, City are still champions. And finally, if Manchester City loses and Arsenal wins, Arsenal are champions. Gee, these are the scenarios of all of what could technically happen on the final match day. Again, we don't know what's going to happen because it is football. That said, for you, what do you think is going to happen on this final match day, apart from the fact that we're going to experience a whole bunch of nerves and chaos?
I honestly think both teams are going to win. Everton, they're good. I think Arsenal just have more quality. I think they should get that result. And same can be said for West Ham. I think just kind of at this point in the season, both those teams kind of, obviously safe from relegation, kind of their spot in the table is pretty much set. Not that they don't have a horse in the race and don't want to, have a good showing for their fans and just for themselves. But I think the kind of the overlying implications of the game obviously favor City and Arsenal. I think they'll both get the wins. And yeah, I think City will end this season as Premier League champions for a fourth time in a row.
So we did our preseason predictions and what have you. And again, the nice thing about football is that it's based on opinions and you can have a change of heart just based on how things have gone. Unfortunately, I do have to say that I think that both teams are going to win, which would mean that Manchester City are going to be champions. And I don't say this to be cocky. I think that Arsenal are going to play really well against Everton. And I think that they're going to beat them around 4-0 to tell you the truth. And I also think that Manchester City will win. And I don't think it's going to be as easy for them. And I don't say that to be cocky or ignorant or disrespectful. I just think that's how it's going to be. And I think that they will win their game 4-2. So I think there's going to be lots of goals, lots of drama. And yeah, unfortunately, I have to say that I think that both teams will win their games. And I would have to say, too, if that does happen, I won't be sad as an Arsenal fan. Like, I'll be, of course, a little bit upset that we didn't win, but the mere fact that we've taken so many leaps and bounds ahead this season, uh, that will still make me just as proud as if we do win it. But I'm still going to hold out some level of hope that if there are footballing gods, that they're going to shine down on me and all of the Arsenal fan base and make us champions. But it's all on to tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern time. G, very best of luck to you, my friend.
You as well. Yeah, I feel like this is weird. Like the last kind of chat before the storm here. But yes, all the best to you. And like you said, kind of however this ends up, two phenomenal teams, two phenomenal seasons. Nothing to kind of be ashamed of or hang your head about. Obviously, the disappointment of losing it would be kind of tough, but yeah, it's the hope that kills you, I guess, is the best way to put it.
That's I've heard that quote a few times this week. So we'll see what happens tomorrow morning. The coffee will be on it. We'll be on the couch, and I will be a bundle of nerves. And I'm sure that I'll have my phone on airplane mode just because I won't be able to handle it. The relegation battle, G, we do have to touch on that. It is all done now in the Premier League. It will be Sheffield United, Burnley, and Luton Town all returning to the championship next season, as they will be relegated from the Premier League at the conclusion of the final match day tomorrow sometime around 1 or 1:30 p.m. Gee, all three of those teams, they came up and they're all going straight back down. Unfortunate for them, of course, but what can be said for those three teams who will find themselves back in the championship next season?
Yeah, I mean, we'll start with Sheffield United. They weren't prepared. They just weren't Premier League ready. And I don't know if that's the fault of the owners, the manager, if they have a director of football, their footballing department, but they just weren't ready. They were kind of set up to fail from the beginning, and the inevitable kind of happened. Burnley and Luton, on the other hand, it feels like they have some structure in place for kind of a return to the Premier League and kind of a more permanent return. Specifically Burnley, I think the decision to kind of publicly stick with Vincent Kompany, saying, kind of regardless of the relegation, that they were going to, keep him around for the next season and kind of build on his success from last season in the championship, kind of progress we've seen Burnley make in the Premier League this year, and kind of push that forward, I think is great. And kind of the same for Luton Town. Actually, I thought they would be a lot worse than this. I thought they were going to give that record-breaking Derby team a run for their money, but they proved me wrong. They showed in small spurts, some Premier League quality, but kind of similar to Sheffield, just that squad was just not Premier League ready.
Yeah, and I totally agree with your points, particularly about Burnley and Luton Town. And I would just add to that both of those clubs have a lot of character, and you could sense that not just from their managers, but from their players and from their fans as well. So I do expect them to be up in the Premier League very soon. Once again, we don't have this in our program here, G, but right now it is Leicester and Ipswich Town who will be back in the Premier League next season. It's either going to be Leeds or Southampton. Out of Leeds and Southampton, do you have a particular team that you think might come back up in that playoff final?
I think both teams have a good shot at this. I think it's a very even playoff final. I just have a weird feeling about Southampton. Just they've always been kind of an underdog Cinderella team. Their rise from even like the lowest kind of leagues in English football to the Premier League in the kind of the 20 teens was pretty incredible. And there's just something about Southampton. I just kind of always have liked them. They've been a good club. So I'm going to lean Southampton.
Yeah, you know what? I've always liked Southampton too. They've been a factory in terms of producing.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, back in the day, so it seemed would have been, I guess, like late end of high school, early university, watching them when Luke Shaw was on the team. And you know what I mean? Like, I really liked it then. I did read an article because David Moyes, of course, is going to be leaving West Ham at the end of the season. And there was a mention that for him to go to a club like Southampton would make a lot of sense. But if they come up, of course, they're going to stick with that same manager. I'm going to say that Leeds make a return to the Premier League. I think Daniel Farker is the Daniel Fark, I think is how you pronounce it. He's the manager, former manager of Norwich. And I actually have a friend out in England who's a lead supporter, and kind of hope the best for him. So yeah, we'll see what ends up happening in that playoff final. But regardless, I think the likes of Leicester and Ipswich Town will certainly put on a good show next season. Then whichever other team comes up will do the same. And now it is time for a local soccer update. League play in high school soccer has officially wrapped up as of last night. As a result, the final standings for league play have been determined, which sets us up nicely going into playoffs this upcoming week. The league champion senior boys soccer is once more St. Mary's. The league champions of senior girls soccer is once again St. Mary's. The league champions of junior boys soccer is St. Mary's. And the league champions of junior girls soccer is St. Mary's. For back-to-back years, very unprecedented, have to say, because being involved in high school soccer as a player for 5 years, reffing it all these years, coaching it for 6 years, I don't remember a time when a clean sweep has ever happened, because it's always a different school doing it. But St. Mary's has completed a clean sweep of league titles for back-to-back years. So that's your alumni G, and now each team, of course, gets to focus on semifinals and finals for playoffs, which starts and in some cases ends next week. What can be said for high school soccer at this moment in time, my friend?
Yeah, that is unprecedented. Would be like, again, an understatement. That is huge. I can't think of any sport in my 4 years at St. Mary's where there was like some teams went back to back, but it was never across like every division. That is that is extremely impressive. So congratulations to all those players and to St. Mary's. Once a night, always a night. But yeah, that is a really impressive feat. Hopefully, again, winning a league is fantastic, but I think playoffs, specifically for this kind of format, is always the major focus. So hopefully they're kind of able to keep that run of form going here.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess more so for our American listeners here, the way that we focus on it in not just in Sault Ste. Marie, but in our province of Ontario, is we really focus on the city title. So whoever wins the playoffs, the league it basically sets you up for how you go into playoffs, and you want to try and win your city so that you can go to regional competition and then provincial competition after if you play senior level. So yeah, the big focus, of course, now is to try and win a city title for all 4 teams that are involved between Cora, St. Mary's, White Pines, and Superior Heights. So playoffs now begin on Tuesday because Monday is Victoria Day holiday. So all eyes are set there, G. And another local soccer, it's men's soccer that kicks off this upcoming week beginning May 21st. G, we are officially back to the pitch after having about a month off from a very long indoor soccer season. How excited are you about getting back out there on the grass?
As much as I love, our indoor soccer league, there's just something different about, playing at Superior Heights on like a perfect sunny day. Like it doesn't get better than that. So I am extremely, extremely excited. I also love the fact that we get some games at Tom Tipton like scheduled this year. For the last couple of years, it's just kind of been a backup field in case of like a rain delay or kind of a makeup day. So I love the actual scheduled games at Tom Tipton. I grew up kicking around on that field with my friends hopping the fence. So it kind of always feels like my home field, like I kind of grew up there. So that's super exciting to get the chance to play there again. And yeah, just even with like the smaller rosters for indoor, just getting kind of more of the boys back together, adult beverages in the parking lot after games. It's just the vibes are unmatched for outdoor soccer.
Without question. And to your point about Tom Tipton, the amount of history that has been embedded and taken place on that field. You want to talk about unprecedented, that you could be here for days, if not weeks, if not months, talking about stories for what's happened on that field. And I've, thankfully, that I've been able to be a part of so much of that myself. So really glad that we got to be back there regularly playing there this season. So for anyone who's looking to catch men's soccer, it will take place Monday to Thursday evenings, both at Superior Heights and Tom Tipton Field. Again, the league will start this Tuesday because Monday is a holiday, but anyone who's looking to come out, games take place at those 2 fields Monday to Thursday evening. And with men's soccer starting this upcoming week, that will also mean that women's and youth soccer are right around the corner as well. And as always, we go back to our roots here on this show at Full Time, so you can get all of your local soccer updates right here. This is Daniel Scarpino and Gitano Gallo, and you're listening to Full Time on the Game Sports Podcast and 91 Network. A reminder that Full Time is sponsored by Little Caesars Pizza. You can download and access the Pizza Portal app for any of the 2 locations in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Have a delicious hot and ready pizza from Little Caesars today. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Full Time. As we round out today's show, we want to thank you all for spending a little bit of time with us to talk about the that brings us all together. G, well done, sir.
Yes, thank you very much for having me. Well done to yourself. Again, good luck tomorrow. Hopefully this isn't a friendship ender. But if it is, it'll be a hell of a way to go out.
No kidding. And there's not much that could separate us, G, a decade of friendship plus. So tomorrow there will be a little bit of hostility, but once the games are done, we will congratulate the other one for whoever is the victor. But best of luck to you as well, my friend. A reminder to our listeners that the next episode of Full Time will be recorded the week of May 20th, 2024. In that show, we will discuss Europe's Big Five, and of course, we will highlight who has ever won the the Premier League. The Europa League final will be highlighted on our next show. We will also preview the Champions League final as well as the Conference League final. And of course, we will talk a little bit of local soccer. As always, we will keep everyone in the loop with all of the happenings in the world of football. For weekly content, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to all platforms of both the Game Sports Podcast and 91 Network on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Podbean. For Gitano Gallo, my name is Daniel Scarpino, and thank you for tuning in to Full Time. We look forward to seeing you at kickoff next time back here on the Game Sports Podcast and 91 Network. Best always.